Hi, it's Michael here from the Sunshine Coast, just checking in with another video. It's Tuesday evening. I've had a long day at work. I was up at 3:45 a.m. this morning. I did some training with some clients early, did a bunch of work, and then on my way home I stopped at the pool and I had a swim. And when I'm swimming or riding or running, I always manage to process a lot of information. It's my time for me and my thoughts, and I was thinking about my journey with SFM and what it's going to look like moving forward, and the theme momentum came to my mind, and it's a word that I'm sure that you've heard Stuart and Jay use on many occasions. And what I was thinking about was the blockers to momentum and how they are presented to us both externally from third parties and how we present them internally ourselves. So I'm just going to give you a little story, a bit of background. So I started my business Custom Bike Fit 3 years ago, and I'd come up with the idea of what the business was going to look like, the products and services that I was going to offer. And I had bumped into a guy that was well respected within the triathlon industry and well respected within the corporate sector that I knew from Sydney. And this was up on the Sunshine Coast. I hadn't yet started my business, but I'd come up with an idea and I'd written out a business plan, and I bumped into him in a cafe and I presented it to him. And he had a look over and he said, "Look, Michael, there are 4 key people on the Sunshine Coast that you really need to get across before you do anything." And he gave me their names and I sought them out, and I sat down with each one of them. One of those 4 people was supportive, and the other 3 were negative. So they were blockers to me. They were blockers to my momentum. And I went ahead and started the business anyway, regardless. And what I found was, once I had momentum, once I'd made the decision that I was going to go ahead with this, the knockers, the naysayers, they moved away. And in their place came people to help me. So to give you an example, I had a client that I'd fit within my home, one of my first bike fit clients, and when I opened up my studio, he's a builder, he dropped basically everything that he was doing, and one of his projects was a $30 million retirement home. He dropped that to help me fit out my studio. It was I think a $15,000 fit out, and he basically ran with the plans, he did the project management, he organised the trades, he organised the materials, he coordinated everything, everything was at cost, and he gave me 6 months to pay. I had people that I barely knew walking in to the studio and picking up paintbrushes and helping me paint. And my next door neighbours, who would see me leave in the early hours of the morning and then return late in the evening, they'd come round, they'd send their children round at night time with food parcels, because they knew I was hungry and I probably didn't want to cook for myself. So that's the thing about momentum. When you come up with ideas, you're always going to hear from naysayers, and they're always going to stand in your way until you start moving. And when you start moving, they will move. They'll move out the way, and then you'll attract people that will help you along the way. And this is probably not dissimilar to the SFM community. And the other so they're external blockers, and the other blockers that we have to momentum are the internal blockers. And they're the doubts that we have, and that's quite natural. It's quite natural to have doubts. I'm thinking about investing some more money within this project, and of course I have doubts. And as a businessman, I run a small business, I'm looking for time to value. When am I going to see my first sale? I'm looking for return on investment. When am I going to get my investment back? Those sort of things. But what I've learned to do, in particular over the last 5 years, is to trust my instincts. And there's an old song, I used to listen to it as a kid, by a band called The. And there was a line in the song that says, "You should have trusted your instincts because they don't tell lies." And again, this is another thing about momentum. If you're passionate about something and you listen to yourself internally, the answer will come. So I just wanted to share those things with you. I hope you find them useful. And thanks for listening, and please check back in again soon. Good night.